Hello, folks, and welcome to the Counting Sheep podcast, episode 70. My name is Ruth, and welcome to my little corner of the fiber world, including crochet, knitting, spinning, and what I get up to on my small sheep farm in my corner of Vermont here in the United States. Welcome. If you are a returning viewer of my podcast, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome aboard. I hope you find something that resonates with you here. I've had a busy couple past 2 weekends, and I'd like to share what I've been up to with you, as well as my bits and bobs of craftiness that I've been up to. I discovered a new craft while I was away from all of you, and I also was at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival over this past weekend, and I have some pictures and some footage of that to put at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that if you'd like to see that. So I'm going to also leave the new skill that I learned towards the end as well. So in case that's not your jam, it's not knitting or spinning or crochet related, but it is wool related. So if that is something that you're interested in, by all means, stay tuned. What I am wearing, this is a very old make of mine. I looked it up. I wasn't at the time very good at posting my makes on Ravelry. I made this back in 2011. This is the Nadia Shrug. So just a little accessory that keeps your arms and shoulders nice and warm. This is a design by Pam Allen, and it is done up in Quince & Co. yarn, Chickadee, which is their sport weight yarn, and it's done in the Delft colorway. And it's a really nice make, and it's a nice for this time of year where the weather is transitioning, and you just need a little something to keep your shoulders and arms warm over like maybe a long sleeve t-shirt like I have on today. And it's really nice. It's kind of a fast make, and you just have some really nice lace here at the bottom, and then the back is kind of just to keep your upper back warm. So yeah, and they have some really nice colors of that Chickadee yarn, and this is a nice round yarn too, so it's really plump, and really traps the air, so it's nice. Where you can find me is I am on Ravelry, and my name on Ravelry is Rabbit Lady. I am Counting Sheep at Sunrise Hill on Instagram and Threads. I am Counting Sheep on Facebook, and if you really want to get a hold of me, drop me a message, email-wise, at it's sunrisehillfarmandcrafts@gmail.com. So that is where I am on the socials, and I'm glad I remembered this time and not halfway through the podcast. I put it in big letters this time so I could see it on my notes, but I'm going to dive right in. Got a lot to cover today. I first start off with crochet, and I'm going to start off with whips. I don't have any finished objects. This is something I've been working on for a bit here. I've been working on a shawl. It's kind of a mashup. I call it my Tunisian crochet mashup. And I ran into a little bit of a glitch on this shawl. If you've been with me for a bit here, you know I've been doing some Tunisian crochet. I've been kind of on a Tunisian crochet jag, and I'm doing a mashup between two different patterns by Lena Fedotova. So the first one is one of her patterns called Tunisian motif, she just calls it. And so that is what the motif kind of looks like. I'm basically taking kind of her joining method from this pattern, and then I'm taking the idea of the motif that she has from her other pattern here. Let me see if I can find the picture. I might have left it downstairs, which, no, I have it. This is the motif from, ooh, sorry about the sun here. Not good lighting at all. But what I'm doing is kind of, the center of these motifs is just a regular crochet center, and then around them you do like a Tunisian crochet, and then I'm connecting them all. The layout for the shawl is taken from the first pattern, so I'm using this layout here that she has. And I got down to this middle portion here. As you can see, I was checking off all the little dots here, and I got down to here. I was almost halfway, and I was kind of holding it up, and it wasn't really hanging straight. And I was getting a little concerned that it was just a little wonky. So I kind of was examining it and looking at it, and I stood back for a bit, and I realized that one of the motifs somewhere was not right. And then I discovered that way back yonder, I had a motif that just was not right. So with these motifs, when you start to put on the final round, which is the joining round, you end up having 12 of the picots all the way around. So those are the actual joining, how should I say, the actual joining parts of this motif. And this little guy, let me show you which one it was, because this is the beginning over here where I have my little markers. So this was the beginning row. These three is the beginning row, and it was, I believe, this little guy right here that was the culprit. Only had 11 little picots around. And I don't know what happened. I think I just didn't count, and I attached this guy without its 12th little picot, and it really disrupted the entire thing from there on out. And I just went along my little merry way thinking everything was just fine and dandy. And when I got to well over here, like I had one more row on, and it started to like go in, and it was just really like it wasn't hanging straight. You can see now that all the rows are kind of are straight hanging. That wasn't the case before, and it might not seem to you right now either because it hasn't been blocked, but it was in far worse condition than it is right now. So what I did was, because I couldn't live with it the way it was, I ended up taking out, went back and took out the last row of a lot of these motifs. But when I got to about here or so, I was able to kind of deconstruct here and into here, like I did some surgery. And I was able to get into here and redo this outer row and added one more picot, and then reattached it to all of its friends, and then I was able to reattach these friends in here. But then I had to start to reattach all the ones that subsequently I had to take off. But I did manage to get almost back to where I was. I had the 5 left of the last row, and then I'll be back to where I was. So as you can see, these are the last 5 motifs that I need to reattach. They just need, the final row on them, which is the row that you do to attach them to the shawl, if I'm making any sense at all. The smart thing I'm doing this time is that I'm leaving that final end free, because I have learned that I really hide my ends very well. I work them in really well. That was the big challenge in trying to fix this problem, is that I could not find where I had buried my ends, which is a good thing for finishing, not so good if you're trying to fix a problem. But just for safekeeping, I've been not working them in, just in case I goof up again. But I have a feeling that I've got this well in hand now, especially since now I'm making sure every little motif here has 12 little picots, and that I'm attaching everything the way it's supposed to be attached. But it is quite a stunner, though, I think. When I've had this out in public working on it, people think I'm working on a quilt. It is very beautiful. I think it's going to be wonderful to wear. And like I said, I've got this one more row to the one side, and then it has the middle row, and then we start going up this way. So yeah, it'll fit quite nicely shaped for the shoulders, for the little shawlette that it is. So, and I think I'm going to get away with having enough of these, little minis to not ever have to repeat a color. So yeah, it says a lot about my stash. But anyway, this has been a wonderful project to work on, especially, it's these little bite-sized little motifs to work on. But yeah, my heart kind of sank when I realized that there was this motif way back yonder that had a problem. But then it was kind of fun to try to figure the puzzle out. Like, how am I going to fix this without deconstructing the entire thing? Yeah, so that's been my fun with that shawl. I should give it a proper name besides my Tunisian crochet shawl mashup, but for now that's what I'm going with. It seems to be very fitting for it right now. So that's whip number 1. And so last week I kind of alluded to the fact that I'm having kind of a Tunisian jag right now. And so last week I said that I really wanted to make another Tunisian sweater. And I had shown this book. This is a book I've shown before about on Tunisian sweaters. And this is a book by Ashley Revis. She is the creator of Tiny Couch Crochet. And this is called Tunisian Crochet Tops. There's a bunch of sweaters in here, including tank tops, vests, as well as cardigans and pullovers. And this is the one I have my eye on. Let's see if I can find it here. Yep. This one's done in a fingering weight yarn. And I had the pleasure of swatching for this past 2 weeks, and I just wanted to show you the swatch. I am using Fiber Stash Dye Works yarn. This is their Jailhouse Rock Tweedy Toes sock yarn. So we have 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon neps. Yeah, so Fiber Stash Dye Works. They are in Colchester, Vermont. And I bought this, I believe, at the Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival. And I wanted to share this swatch with you because this was a new to me Tunisian crochet stitch, and I wanted to try it out before I actually started the garment. And you'll see why, because there's a couple of loose little stitches that I did where the yarn is kind of sticking out a little bit. But let me see if, with my wonky lighting today, if you can actually pick up on some of the star. This is called Star Stitch. So it's kind of fun. Nice little textured stitch on a plain background. And I'm right on, spot on with the old, the gauge swatch, which is, you know, I always try to mark the calendar when that happens. But you can see right here, I've got kind of a loosey-goosey stitch there. So it was good to practice on a swatch, this new stitch, just so I could be mindful when making the stitch to, you know, make sure that that's not too, you know, to tighten it up when I do that. So I am using for a size crochet hook, Tunisian crochet hook. She calls for like not a real long size hook. I think she says, let's see, where is it now? Just 10 inches to 24 inches because the piece, the actual sweater is done in pieces. So you do the sleeves apart from the fronts and the backs. Yeah. And so the ribbing is done with a regular crochet hook, so a US 7, and then this is a US H or 5mm Tunisian crochet hook. And then you need 6 buttons for the front openings. So yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of really happy with that, and really want to see that develop as it comes along. I really like this book a lot, and so I was kind of paging through it and getting some ideas. This vest I like a lot, and so I've actually started to spin some of my own fiber for this vest. This vest is called the Coffee House Vest, and most of you who have been with me a while know that I used to have a sheep called Mala. She passed away over the winter time. She was an older sheep, but she was my last BFL sheep, blue-faced luster. And I still have some of her fiber from 2024. I have about 12 ounces of her fiber left from 2024. And then I also have a whole bunch from 2025. And this is her fiber. And I have started spinning it for that vest, with that vest in mind. So this will be the main color, so this kind of creamy white. And then for the color work at the bottom, I thought I would do one of her barn mates. It will be either the Shetland sheep that I have out there, Fiona. She's my Morit, or that really chocolatey brown color, or it will be Gilly, who's a dark gray. So I haven't decided between the two which one I want to go with this. It probably will be a matter of how I feel the day I start spinning or spin for that. But it won't take much for the color work. It's just in the bands and along the bottom. So yeah, so it's kind of fun to think about spinning for an actual garment. And obviously you put a lot more time into something like that when you spin and then knit or crochet for a garment. So yeah, so you think about it a lot. So on to knitting. That's all I have for crocheting. I wanted to show you my whips for knitting, and I managed to get half of a, well, it's a half, what do they call that, half FO? So I've been working on some socks. A lot of people do like socks a month, but I decided this year I'm doing a pair of socks per quarter. These are my Hello Spring socks, and this was a kit that I purchased from Always Be Kind Yarn a couple of years ago. I think it was 2023, and it was kind of a mystery thing, but now is no longer a mystery because I've knitted the socks now. And once I cast on, once I got done with the toe, I immediately cast on the next sock. So I was a good girl. And so I have started the next sock, and I'm glad I did that because this is going to avoid second sock syndrome, which I have a notorious hanker for. But yeah, it's coming along fine. I am doing pretty well on these tiny circular needles. Haven't had too much trouble with that. And my big secret with that is, and it's not a secret, I tend to just do a couple rows on these small needles, and then I put them down and I pick up something else that uses a whole different type of movement with my hands, be it larger knitting or my crochet. And I find that works better. So I'm not kind of like just concentrating all the movement in my, in one part of my hand. So that's helpful. Anyway, let me just show you my finished sock. I have been trying it on as I went along, so it's kind of made to fit for my foot. This is this diamond heel, and the pattern for this sock is called the Diamond Heel Socks by Laura Salisbury. It is on Ravelry, and so I just wanted to show you this heel because I've never made one like this before. Yeah, it's literally a diamond, and that's how it looks when you just have it as a regular sock. She included these two little minis for toes, heels, and cuffs if you like. I figured with the diamond heel, this heel is designed so that it maintains the integrity of a self-striping yarn, so I did not change for the heel, but I did use the pink for the cuff and then the blue for the toe. So I did change that up a bit. I do like this toe. It's kind of a round toe, and you kind of, I think you kind of decrease down to like, I don't know, maybe 6 stitches, I forget. And then you just pull them together and, fasten off. I really am in love with this colorway. It really screams springtime. So yeah, I'm really I enjoyed making this a lot. So, and gonna be working on the other one, Toot Sweet. So when I did get down to this toe, I went over to, when I was doing the decreases, I went over to double pointed wooden needles, just because this was getting just unwieldy. There was just not enough room. So yeah, just an FYI, that's what I did with that. And I just find the wooden needles a little more grippier than the metal needles when you're on that small of a circumference. They just grip the stitches a lot better for me. All right, so those were my Hello Spring socks. Once again, the pattern is called the Diamond Heel Socks, and that is on Ravelry. That's one knitting project. All right. And then my second whip is a vest, and I'm kind of ahead of the game here. Over at the Woolly Thistle, they're going to be starting their vest cal-up soon. I just got done making a vest, a crochet vest, as you know, the Melrose vest. And we're kind of in this period between cals, but I just decided I needed some big knitting, kind of to counteract that small knitting on the sock. And so I started before they started because I'm not prize eligible anyway, because I'm an employee of the Woolly Thistle. So I'm not kind of in the running anyway, and I've got all this other stuff going on anyway, so chances are I won't get done by the time the vest cal's over anyway. But anyway, I want to show you how far I have gotten. Get to the point, Ruth. This is, I am making the Simple Pie Vest by Peace Fleece. And Peace Fleece has been around a long time. They have quite a great philosophy. They, I was just reading about their philosophy. I believe it was on Ravelry, but it's always been kind of bringing people together who historically have had conflict. And right now, they are concentrating on the Navajo and the United States. So we all know the history of the United States with the indigenous people. And so right now they're concentrating on that. And what this Peace Fleece is, the Peace Fleece that we have now has 75% Navajo rambouillet and domestic fine wool in it, as well as 25% mohair. Actually, it might be right in here. Let me just read this real carefully for a minute because it's important. We work to support pastoral communities that have been historically in conflict with the U.S. Currently, we are working with the Navajo to offer fair market prices for the rambouillet sheep wool raised by families in the Navajo Nation. Our yarn is made of this wool blended with domestic fine wool and mohair for strength. We love what we do, and we hope you will too. Peace Fleece is spun by Harrisville Designs here in the New England, New Hampshire, and so it's kind of a feel-good type of socially, ethically feel-good type of yarn to be using. So, anywho, so this is my Simple Pie Vest, and I am doing mine in the Kamchatka Sea Moss colorway, and that's this one. And all of their colorways are kind of really cool. This one has a little bit of speckling in it, a little tweediness to it, as well as my dog's hair, cat hair, you name it. Yeah, and so here I am. I have achieved getting done with the ribbing, and I am up into the body somewhat now. I have changed needles to a larger needle and just chugging away at the stockinette stitch here. And I said last time, this is supposed to be done in pieces, front and back. I wasn't having it. I like to do stockinette in the round, and so I just manage the numbers. Every time they say increase on the front, I do the same thing on the back. So yeah, and there's the whole thing. I've got my little sunflower stitch stoppers in place, and yeah, so anytime I just feel like some very easy knitting, got a movie on that I need to engage my mind in, I just pick this up. So we were watching the other night Nuremberg, good movie. Yeah, so I had to really like engage. So this was good movie knitting for that. So all right. Oh, and I just wanted to show you, this was kind of something from Twice Sheared Sheep. This is just to measure how far I am along. So a nice little tool there. It just sits on your knitting needle, and you're able to measure how far along you are. So that was in my Twice Sheared Sheep advent calendar from this past year. All right, and number 3, I got this started finally, and I am gonna say this how it might be pronounced in my English, but this is not the way it's pronounced, breed. This is a Gaelic word or Scottish word for kerchief. I think it's a Scottish word, actually. And this is a pattern by Kate Davies. I actually bought the kit from her and came with this little bag. And I managed to cast on with this. And this is very potato chippy. I could sit and do this all day. I haven't gotten very far, that being said, but I'll tell you, I was like, don't bother me. Let me do my color work knitting. Although this is on small needles. I have mine on a 2.75, but it calls for a 3.0 millimeter needle, which I didn't have. I am rectifying that situation right now. I work at the Woolly Thistles, so that's not a problem. Yeah, I don't know why I don't have a 3 millimeter, but anyway. Here we go. So it curls up a little bit, but it does get a border, so that's going to be, this is just the start of the first repeat, but I'm really enjoying it. I mean, two-color color work, there's something about it. It's just very kind of rhythmic, and it's just what my brain needs sometimes, you know. Especially this kind of thing. It's like a lot of 2 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this, 2 of that, 1 of this, 2 of this, 3 of this, 1 of this, 2 of this, you know, like that kind of thing, you know, and then it's over, it repeats over and over and over again. So it's kind of fun. Yeah, having fun with that. So also some floral stitch markers or stitch stoppers. This wool is from Kate Davies as well. This is her Uskit, and this is the Siller colorway, the white. And then the other one is Milwaukee Tweed, and this is the Lochan, Lochan, this blue color here. And I'm afraid to say, she's got a vest pattern in this same pattern, and if all goes well with this and I don't screw it up, that might be in my future, but we'll see. What's nice about this is you start off with the longest row and you decrease to a point, so your rows get shorter with each row that you do, so you're decreasing as you go along. I mean, what's not to love about that, you know? What a great project, you know. I have all these projects in front of me, and it's hard to choose which one I want to do. And then there's the garden calling me, you know. Although not so much, because we've had some really kind of cold nights up here, and I know people are being challenged by that. Like, they're trying to put stuff out, and they've had to cover things and drag things back in because it's just, we've had frost warnings and it's crazy. Yeah, I'm just kind of playing it safe and not putting anything out until after Memorial Day. It's just kind of the way it always has been here in Vermont, is to play it safe that way. All right, so that's it for knitting. On to other things here. I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about what I did, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I went to a fabulous place called Sanborn Mills Farm. Here's their little brochure. They are in Loudon, New Hampshire, and it is an old farm, and they provide a lot of opportunities for people who want to learn old-fashioned ways of doing things. And by old-fashioned, I mean, yeah, let's get down dirty. Like, they teach blacksmithing there. And when I was there, another class that was going on was actual, people were lime plastering. So traditional plastering of your walls, which included horsehair, I believe. Basket willow, you know, willow basket tree, that kind of thing. What I went there to learn was classic rug braiding, which is a uniquely New England craft. And the reason why I went to learn that is that I have a whole tub full, like a big tub, plastic tub full of wool fabric that needs to find a home or something, a craft. It needs something. It needs to either move on or it needs a craft. And so I came across rug braiding and I bought all the equipment and I thought I could teach myself. Yeah, no. So I've been looking for a teacher for a while and this popped up on my radar and I thought, okay, I am going to go to this 2-day class. And it did not disappoint. The instructor was wonderful. Sanborn Mills Farm has farm to table cooking, so you eat your lunch right there and all of the food is made right there and grown there, which is wonderful. Very tasty, and you can stay there if you want. My friend Tammy lives in the area, so I spent a wonderful evening with her. But yeah, you can actually stay there on the campus if you like. They have dorm style accommodations. Yeah, and you can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner there if you like. And it's a wonderful setting, very quiet. Yeah, and so there's all sorts of things you can do there, all sorts of fiber arts, woodworking, heritage crafts, yeah, all sorts of things. So I encourage you to check it out. They have a website, obviously, sanbornmillsfarm.org. But I just want to show you what I did. I actually brought my own material. I asked ahead of time if I could bring my own material to work on because the goal is to actually use it up. And I made kind of a trivet / chair pad, depending on, depending on your view. Yeah, and so you start in the middle and work your way out in a spiral. And yeah, it's a wonderful craft. Obviously, uses your hands in a uniquely different way. And yeah, and it's a skill that, is worth, it's worth learning, it's worth keeping alive, these older crafts, and crafts that are unique to the area of New England. And, and it kind of forges new pathways, neural pathways in your brain. I always think that's so important, learning new things is always so important, especially as we age, and it's just good for your brain health and good for your muscles and everything. So yeah, I was really proud of this. I've already started on a strip rug, which obviously is not round. You just make strips and you lace them together for a kind of rectangular rug. So that's great. I mean, I'm so glad that I was able to participate in that workshop and looking forward to other things that Sanborn Mills has to offer. Yeah, so that was a weekend, the weekend before. And then this past weekend, I went to New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival with my friend Tammy and my friend Kendra. We had a great time. We went on Mother's Day because, Saturday, the weather was like, it was cold, it was raining. I mean, you really needed to bundle up and put your woolly wools on. I think I just spent the day here at home, like hunkered down in front of the pellet stove. But yeah, Sunday was definitely the better day to go, so we went on Sunday. And we tooled around. I got some pictures that I'll show you at the end, and a little bit of footage, just a little bit. But my haul was very small this year, but very thoughtful. There was a vendor there called Bobolink, and they are doing something that just sings to my heart. They are looking to keep New England farmers alive and well, and they are looking to make breed-specific yarns. Make sure that breed-specific yarns go into breed-specific fleeces go into breed-specific yarns. Gosh, tongue twister there. Anyway, this is their calling card there. And they had all sorts of cute little hats and garments made up of the yarn that they had. I will read to you their little their byline here. Discover the world of breed-specific yarns from our New England flocks. Our mission, to bridge the gap between New England shepherds and lovers of premium wool. So I bought this little kit of yarn to make this wonderful little hat. If you can see, it's got little sheep cavorting at the bottom. These sheep are actually done up in the, you can't see, you probably can't see it in the picture, but the sheep are done in like a pearl stitches, so they've got a little bit of texture. And then this is the yarn that they have for it. These are all individual skeins just wound together. So yeah, this is a sport weight yarn, and they call this the Vermont Sheepscape Hat Kit from Bobo Link Yarns. So yeah, looking forward to making that hat and using their yarn for that. So I like keeping things close to home. I got a pattern. Bartlett Yarns is another, obviously close to home business. They spin yarn from all over New England, and this is a called Wyandotte Farms vest, and it's got pockets on the front. And I thought I would spin up some of my farm fleece to make a vest for my husband. So I thought that would be a nice vest for him. So picked up a pattern for that. And then I also picked up some wooden buttons made by Stephen Willett. He is a favorite of mine. And some smaller ones this time. I have a whole bunch of his larger ones, but I picked up some smaller dark wood as well as lighter wood buttons there. So yeah, so pretty stuff. So yeah, so that's going to do it for me on this episode. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. If you'd like to see more of the festival, just stay tuned. That's coming up next. So until the next time, stay safe, keep crafting, and I will see you in another 2 weeks. Take care now. Bye-bye.